Harley Davidson's supply chain delays. This could be a lot worse than any of us thought. Let's get into it.
RevelatorAlf.
Hello, welcome to RevelatorAlf. I hope you're all well. So this video is all about supply chain delays for all manufacturers, motorcycle manufacturers or automotive manufacturers right now. And we know there are issues with electronic components and where they're sourcing raw materials from all over the world. This has been going on for quite a while right now. But Harley Davidson, as we know, had to suspend their operation a while ago. And we know there have been supply chain issues that have been going on for quite a while, certainly before COVID with parts availability, but certainly got even more so during COVID and post-COVID as well. But actually, this could be just the start of a worsening thing. So I was reading an online article the other day when they were talking about supply chain issues and the raw materials that are having to be used and the way certain countries may not be supplying these raw materials in great numbers anymore. You know, it's a changing world, and we know that obviously wars going on and conflicts going on all over the world, and high prices, high energy prices. That may mean that certain components just cannot be made. They cannot get the raw materials because they're too expensive to extract from the ground, let's say. And from that point of view, we know it's a changing model and it is getting progressively worse. We're hoping that it will get better at some point, but right now it just seems as if this is affecting a lot of manufacturing, a lot of businesses all over the world. And actually, in terms of Harley Davidson, let's say, or other motorcycle manufacturers, they're all having this issue where production is down by 15-20%, in some cases, 30-40%. Even if they stop production for about, say, 2 or 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever it is, depends on what manufacturer you're talking about. That could have a knock-on effect 6 months down the line or 3 months down the line. So it really depends. Can they make up ground later? What will happen to the supply chains thereafter? Does this mean that because these supply chains from a particular source have stopped, they have to go to another supply chain, and that's even more expensive? So that means that their unit costs go up. That means that the end product costs more money. They have to charge more money. And guess what? This has already started to happen with many products out there on the market. They were at this level before, now they're at this level. And you could say the same for lots of things: food, energy, home heating, fuel for your vehicles. It used to be here and now it's here. And this is what is happening, as we know, with these supply chain problems. They can't get hold of the raw materials, or the price of getting those raw materials has gone up. And so everything has just gone up and up and up. And this could have a dramatic effect on the demand. Now, we know the way supply and demand works, that if the supply comes down, and sometimes businesses, they use this tactic, they reduce the supply so that demand goes up, and to meet that demand, they just increase the price so they can increase their profits, right? However, demand can only go up so much before it suddenly drops away. And the reason it can only go so much is because demand is limited by other factors, and it's your own personal financial situation. It's about environmental considerations. It's about what you're allowed to do. So let's just say if they suddenly banned petrol and diesel vehicles, let's say, oh, that's happening soon, isn't it? Right, so you can't buy a new petrol or diesel vehicle, right? So that means that the demand might be really high for petrol and diesel. And if you're still supplying those, guess what? The market's going to get less and less and less on that. The demand is going to get less and less. And so you might be the big player in a particular market, but you're going to have a bigger percentage share of an ever-reducing market. So that's not a good business model for anybody. And this has happened many times historically to other businesses as well. They get an ever-increasing share of a diminishing market. So in the case of, let's say, Harley Davidson right now, that they had this break, they got supply chain issues, they've got really expensive motorcycles, for some of them at least, and they had a certain demand, and that demand has been kept there because of this lack of supply over the last 2 or 3 years due to COVID. But at some point, because the prices are so high, there will start to come down, or the demand will start to come down, where people won't buy them anymore. And this is where I think that Harley Davidson are in a very, very tricky situation here, because they've tried to put themselves out of this premium brand, this premium product, and people will differentiate between actual premium product or something that just costs a lot of money. And when it costs a lot of money and they don't have it, or the cost of borrowing that money, let's say in a finance agreement, is too high, then all of a sudden that demand will suddenly drop, and they've got a market share, a big market share of producing these particular types of cruisers and tourers as a premium product that nobody's buying. You see where I'm going with this? So supply chain issues could be the least of their concerns, but it's certainly going to have a knock-on effect, not only in terms of the next 6 months or the next year, but the raw materials and components, or the lack of, are affecting supply chains in many other areas, and that's going to be affecting individuals and individual finances. And so many people just may not be able to afford these big ticket items, let's say like Harley Davidson. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, but don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell, like and share, and check out the website RevelatorAlf.com. Ta-da.